My name is Dean Richardson and I'm a trustee and lay advisory board member of the Brain Tumour Charity. Well, it was an organisation I didn't know a lot about, and then my dad got diagnosed with a brain tumour, a cancerous brain tumour. So this organisation was recommended as somewhere that we could access support as a family. So as my dad's treatment progressed, I signed up to do a twilight walk in London. And as it happened, the week my dad passed, I did the walk. And it was after that I saw an advert that they were calling out for people to come forward as trustees or lay advisory board members. And I thought with my experience being fresh, knowing some of the problems we'd had as a family and where we needed to push for more changes in law and in treatments, I thought, well, actually, I can put that to good use while it's all fresh in my mind and try and give back. Because they've been great to us as a family, they supported us, offered great advice. And so it was important to me to try and help other families who went through the same experience. I think for me, it's that personal experience of having a family member who has gone through an experience. I think that's valid for any trustee role, really. It's that life experience you can bring, the things that you've seen that have worked really well, and the things that you also want to improve on. And so taking that experience into a role such as a trustee role is really rewarding because you can be at the forefront of pushing for change. You can bring a new perspective sometimes on things that others haven't experienced. And you can also be a part of ongoing changes that were already there before you arrived. So it's a great part of the role. My particular role is looking at funding applications for new treatments, looking at scientific data, looking at proposals to test new treatments. So it's been at the forefront of what may be possible as well, and trying to drive through that. So it's a rewarding role because I get to give my time and to hopefully save a life or ease somebody through their treatment in the future. And I think that's empowering as well. And as somebody who's worked in politics previously, locally and nationally, I understand some of the legal side of it and some of the political side of it and the importance of having strong relationships. So that's a skill that's perhaps unique to me that I can bring to offer some perspective on how they may get in with people in local councils or national government to try and influence change at that level too. I think being a trustee, one of the challenges, but it's a rewarding challenge, is it challenges you to think within yourself whether the view you have is just your view or whether it's more a wider view, and how that leads into your decision making. Sometimes you can be quite narrow in perspective because of your own experience, so you've got to be open to listening to others, listening to their contributions to ensure that whatever you work towards as a trustee is an outcome that can have the biggest impact and the biggest change. It's about that understanding that nothing happens overnight. It's hard work, it's a commitment from volunteers at all levels, whether trustees or on the doing day-to-day work within organisations, that can really drive forward change in communities. And every perspective is valid, every perspective is unique to an individual. It's about being welcoming to those and considering those and the decisions you make and the actions you take. I think it's just making a small difference through the time I can give. It's a voluntary role, so it's not like a day job, it's an extra commitment. So it's understanding that you can't change everything all at once. And if you can make one change to one person's life, you've made a big impact for somebody. Sometimes the smallest things are the most important things because they matter to that individual. I'm lucky enough to look at some amazing proposals for treatments that are really innovative. And if one of those treatments were to work, they would save lives. And that is a huge impact. So having a small role to play as part of that bigger picture on something that could have such a big impact, it's amazing. It's also keeping it into perspective. There's been no new treatments within brain tumours for 30 years. New medicines have come onto the market, and all the treatments that are used today are the ones that have been used for multiple other types of cancer or cancerous tumours. So the reality I think you have to accept as a trustee in my position is that there'll be a lot of trial and error, and success isn't guaranteed. But if we don't keep working together, keep trying to innovate and try to spread the message of how important it is that we do look for cures, we do look for treatments, we do broaden the warning signs and the messaging around those early on, then we'll never make a change. So giving back a little can make a huge difference, and hopefully we'll come across something that does offer that hope to families like my own who find themselves in a position with somebody who has a diagnosis which is going to shorten a life. You can make a difference, you can ease somebody's difficult times, save a life maybe. Wow, what a difference that can be made. I think within this particular trustee role, it's the work we do with those who are perhaps only part-way through their journey in terms of learning. We work with a lot of students on placement, and what's most interesting is some of the most innovative ideas for treatments come from those who are part-way on their journey, because they're still fresh to things, they're still very open-minded, and some of the proposals that get furthest through trials and through funding routes are those of new, young, up-and-coming scientists and specialists. So seeing those come through, being able to give them opportunities within the organisation, it's fantastic. And I think that's a massively rewarding part of being a trustee. For us, it's very much a team effort. So we're very lucky that we have lots of wonderful supporters who donate a little bit, and that enables us to create new funds as an organisation that can be in new therapies, or can be to provide direct support to families, or perhaps to trial medical treatments. And each time we work together to innovate as an organisation to offer new funding opportunities or new opportunities to learn and grow, it means that we can have a wide impact, even if it's just providing more clearer information to families that meets their needs. It's a small difference it's seemingly small difference that can have a huge impact for a family somewhere. I think one of the big things I've noticed, and it's not just within this role, I've been a trustee in a number of organisations, is the rich variety of people, the experiences and talents that they bring. And I think it's not looking for a particular type of person when you're recruiting trustees or when you're recruiting volunteers. It's ensuring that you try and be as open as possible, because everybody's got something to give. Everybody enriches the organisation. Everybody enriches the offer you have and how accessible your organisation is to those who are using it as a service user. When I think you're looking at things like funding for science, you would anticipate that you'd only recruit people who've got a medical background or a scientific background, but actually that would be to neglect a lot of the care that comes direct from families, the personal experiences of living with, either as an individual who's had treatment for something or as a family member who's had treatment, and that day-to-day need as well, because that's as important in a lot of cases as coming up with a cure. Because as I mentioned earlier, the reality is treatments tend to take decades to come along. So it's what you do in that interim period when those treatment options aren't there. And so that care and that understanding of the disease and the symptoms and how you can help somebody just to feel a little bit more comfortable while they're going through something, that's as powerful as an experience to contribute as the scientific knowledge that somebody else might bring. So it's really been open to everybody, and ensuring that you take from all backgrounds and from all experiences to enrich your organisation. I think we are quite diverse, but I think you can always be more diverse. It's an ever-changing picture. We live in a very much a changing world, changing country, and we should always look to, you don't know the gaps there until somebody new comes along with new experiences. You think, why didn't we realise that we needed that person before? So I think it's a constantly evolving situation, and there's always room for that next person to come along to contribute. I think time, it's whatever you can give. It's so important that we get as many voices involved in trusteeship as possible. And it doesn't have to be a huge commitment time-wise or taking on lots and lots of tasks. Even if you can just give an hour here and there, you can contribute in a really meaningful way, because it's about working together as a team. It's about giving back bit by bit, person by person, and it's working as a collective towards that end goal. So I would encourage anybody to get involved. And it's a great way of meeting new people, enriching yourself with knowledge that perhaps you wouldn't have otherwise. Not everybody's looked at sets of accounts, not everybody's looked at audits and prepared for audits. And it's not involved in everybody's role in a day-to-day way. You can get involved just a little bit and learn what it gives you new perspectives, I think. So if you've got a little bit of time and a little bit of will, go for it, because it'll reward you far more than you think it will. It tends to vary depending upon the size of the organisation, whether it's local or national. Some it can start with just a conversation and an invite to become involved. Sometimes it's more formal and it's a short form, just giving an idea of who you are and what your background is. But it's nothing too scary. It's like a soft job interview, I'd say, in a way. For the national charity, the Brain Tumour Charity, that was followed by sort of a laid-back panel discussion. And again, it was more to give them a flavour of you as a person and your experiences more than being set job interview questions. I think the most important part that goes with all organisations is them asking you to be honest about what you can give in terms of time. So be honest with them. If you can only give an hour, say you can only give an hour. If you can give a day a week, brilliant, say you can give that. But it's about that honest, trust-building exercise in a way. So don't be scared of it. It might look like a formal form. It's not. It's just to give an introduction to you and to say who you are, what your background is. It's just like a little stepping stone. And after that, there's a great reward and what you'll get out of it. I'd say look at one of two things, or both ideally, but if you've got an area that's specifically of interest to you, then you'll always be able to give that bit more because it's a passion. So that's one sort of option. The other is to look at what experiences you've got yourself and where you can link into that personal experience and give back from your knowledge of that experience. And obviously if they both sit together, all the better. If you're working down a particular career path, then you can find lots of organisations that will fit in with your career path as well. So you're gaining from them in terms of your development in your career at the same time as you giving back. But there's an organisation out there for anybody who wants to get involved in trusteeship. It's just thinking about what your interests are, what drives you as a person. And I guarantee that nobody will turn you away. There'll be somebody out there desperately waiting for somebody just like you. And of course, if you are looking for opportunities, there are great organisations like BAST and Support Staffordshire who offer a brokerage service. So they know organisations who are members who are looking for trustees. So you may come into it with a particular skill set and be looking for a very particular type of organisation. They'll know those organisations, they'll have the links, and they'll be able to work with you to find the right organisation for you. And maybe you just don't know what sort of organisation you want to work with. Again, they will be able to talk to you, find a bit more about you and what you're interested in, and offer you different options of places that are looking for people. There's opportunities for everybody out there. You may not know what it is, but VAST and Support Staffordshire are great at being able to connect the two dots together.